Okay. Let's continue with Fresnel zone. You know about the Fresnel zone. I told you Fresnel zone is a zone around line of sight. How low distance is link, the Fresnel zone is fat. How long distance is the link, the Fresnel zone is thin. In the zone, there are 2-3 zones. We call them first Fresnel zone, second Fresnel zone, and so on. Theoretically, 60% of Fresnel zone should be clear to have a good transmission, acceptable transmission. In applications like BTP link planner, you can calculate the size and the thickness of Fresnel zone, and then you can integrate the same Fresnel zone on Google Earth, even if you have the 3D one. It's more effective. You can see how this Fresnel zone is already clear. 60% should be clear. 60% of first Fresnel zone should be clear to have a kind of acceptable transmission. For example, here the line of sight is okay, but because Fresnel zone is already occupied, then transmission is either not possible or possible with very low modulation, low quality. You need to be careful about the obstacles. Obstacles shouldn't be on the zone, and also the terrain of the Earth. With Google Earth, when you use Link Planner gets profile from Google, the profile of the Earth as a terrain, and it shows. Also, for the link over 10 miles, over 15 kilometers, you need to be careful about curvature of the Earth, because they are not in the same height. They will be different height. 60% of first Fresnel zone should be clear of obstacles to have adequate signal for good reception. About the GPS synchronization, yesterday I talked a lot about GPS synchronization. I told you how it works, what it is, features. Now we want to get deeply on it about the process of GPS synchronization. You know that in Cambio, downlink, the mean is the client download from base to tower, and upload is from the tower to base or POP. In access point, you can configure the downlink modulation to the user download. In SM, you can configure the uplink modulation, the upload of user to base. You know also about the duplexing. There are two different types of networks, full duplex, half duplex. In half duplex, you have to send and you have to wait for the receive, or you receive and then you send. But in full duplex, you can have send and receive both at the same time. We need to use duplexing protocols to have this transmission, both sending and receiving at the same time. Duplexing protocols. One of them is frequency division duplexing, or FDD. FDD means you send with another frequency and you receive with another frequency. So in your transmission, because two frequencies already occupied, means you're kind of duplexing. You send with another, you receive with another, so you can have both send and receive at the same time. This is one of the technologies. The other one is TDD, or time division duplexing. This is actually what MacroTik Cambio is using. TDD, time division duplexing, means access point assigns different time slots per each client for sending and receiving, for transmission. So because they don't send and receive at the same time, this is a kind of half duplex. You send and you receive in different time. FDD, or frequency division duplexing, means sending and receiving at the same time with different frequency TDD means sending and receiving at different time slots. So these are the duplexing techniques to be able to maximize throughput, because when we have both sending and receiving at the same time, we are increasing the throughput, we are using a full duplex network. Also, the aggregate is possible, the summary of download and upload. So if you've got like 50 meg, then 25 down, 25 up. This is the symmetric one, 25 down, 25 up. But also it's possible to have asymmetric down and up, like 35 down, 15 up. So it means your down is double, more than the upload. This is the strategy of most of ISPs. No matter how much download they assign to you, your upload to them mostly is not more than 1 meg, finally 2 meg, depends on ISP. It's like this. In point-to-point link, master means base. This is just a term. Master means base. We mostly use this kind of point-to-point links as a backhaul. What is the meaning of backhaul? Means behind this backhaul there is a kind of network. So the main backhaul connects our network, could be internet, could be local network here, to another network which is somewhere else. Both of them could be in the layer 2. Same layer 2 broadcast domain means if you have the same IP in both sides, you can be in the same range. But in point to multi-point means there are multiple access points or even one access point, but multiple clients. And they all send and receive at the same time. In this scenario, radio 2 is the intended recipient. Means it sends to all of those clients if they need to send and receive anything, and then client 2, in this example, client 2 is just the recipient. Also now radio 2 responds. By default, you send and you wait for response, because by default, if you don't use TTT or FTD, you are half duplex. You have to send and wait to receive. The only way to use full duplex network is either using either of these two, FTD or TD. I want to talk about different types of interference. One of the most interference is the self-interference. Means you have interference with devices in your own network. This is self-interference. When you and another network, the competitor, both of you or three of you are sharing the same channel together, this is interference with another network. But these types of interferences are self-interference. First, access point to access point self-interference. Means you have two different towers, two different pop sites, but somehow they are in the same coverage. So this is the interference because they may use the same frequency. This is one of the goals for us. We call it frequency reuse. We have to do frequency reuse. Otherwise, we need, for example, for the network with 2 towers, with 8 antennas, with 8 radios, we need to have 8 frequencies, which is not really efficient, especially now most of the frequencies are saturated. Access point to access point self-interference is one type of interferences that both of your towers are in the same coverage. AP to AP interference, we call it. When some APs TX while others RX, SM to SM interference also can occur. Means there are different access points. One of them is sending, the other one is receiving. Collision happens. So this would be a kind of interference. Another problem of these interference is the hidden node. Why collision happens? Collision happens because carrier cannot sense the hidden node. Yesterday, I had this example, a network, access points, one access point and some clients. When this one wants, one of the clients, no matter which, but when they want to transmit, there is a procedure in standard CSMACA, which we call it RTS CTS. RTS CTS is one of the strategy to prevent this collision. Means when this one wants to send any frame, before sending the intended frame, they send a kind of management frame called ready to send. And those in the coverage also can receive ready to send. And those who already got this packet send the frame, send back another management frame called CTS or clear to send. CSMACA with RTS CTS mechanism can find with the hidden nodes. Because without RTS CTS, they are in the same coverage. So this one wants to transmit. All the others in the coverage can understand this one wants to transmit because of carrier. They are not willing to transmit. But how about those which are not in the coverage? They transmit, you transmit, collision happens. This collision could be in AP side, could be in station side. CSMACA try to solve the hidden node problem with RTS CTS. But technology that we want to use in here needs proper protocol, even proper access protocol, even more than CSMACA, which we want to use TDD or FDD. In terms of TDD, because they are sending and receiving in different times, collision never happen. Also in frequency division, FDD, while you are sending with another frequency and receiving with another frequency, collision will never happen. This would be happen in outdoor environment. This was the example in indoor environment, but also in outdoor environment when two of your different towers or access points are in the same coverage. This is self-interference. One solution for this self-interference is no frequency reuse. Actually, the problem here is they don't use frequency reuse. We need to have a large guard band. Yesterday I talked about guard interval. The amount of time that router waits between sending the frames. That's guard interval. When you use long guard interval, your bandwidth is low because you are waiting too much and your frames would be less than a short guard band. But it's more safe because there's no collision. There would be no collision. There are three key points, key features, key components that help to fight with the problems of hidden nodes. Also, they bring duplexing, and they are the most advanced protocols. Actually, these three are something in Cambium that makes Cambium different to Revit competitors. Because some of them even they don't have these features, or those like Ubiquity that have these features, not really practical like here, not really fine. First is GPS synchronization for the TDD max scheduling. Means GPS synchronization, all these access points try to send at the same time when all sync together, try to send at the same time and receive at the same time. This helps to fight with the interference between access point to access point, or even client in the client side, no matter in access point side or client side. GPS synchronization eliminates collision, collapse, and primary self-interference. Could be AP to AP interference, means download to upload. AP to AP means one of them is sending, the other one is receiving. Download to upload. The other one is SM to SM interference, means one SM is downloading, the other one is receiving. Allows for reduction in guard bands. Then you can have the short guard band, so the bandwidth could be like 10% more. GPS synchronization improves the network by preventing collision and interference, And also it helps to have the guard band, shorter guard band. So by all these facilities, it increases the bandwidth like 10, 15 or 20%, depends on scenario. The second feature is ATPC, automatic transmit power control. Automatic SM transmit power control means access point is be able to control the power of the client automatically. The other feature is front to back antenna isolation. This is not an option to change. This is nothing to enable or disable. Isolation is one of the features of antennas. They have this feature. There is a rate to show how effective is this antenna. How front to back ratio is good. Means normally antenna manufacturers prefer to enhance the antenna as much they can to have the less front to back antenna isolation. I mean front to back leakage. The problem is when your antenna is this side, is directing to another side, another point, it shouldn't have a leakage in backside. This is the characteristic of antenna. All the manufacturers try to bring down this ratio, front to back ratio. Will be not zero, we talk about it because of side lobes and back lobes. We cannot make it zero, but at least we can control it to be minimal. And also these features helps to reduce secondary self-interference, means SM to AP interference or AP to another SM, like this. When you are using front to back antenna isolation, means if you have two antennas back to back, one point to east, one to west, or north to south, because there's no leakage between them, then there will be no interference. They are back to back, and then you can use frequency reuse feature. Means back to back antennas can have the same frequency. We will talk about also frequencies. This is the idea of GPS synchronization. Assume that there are 6 access points in the same tower. They are sending and receiving at different times. But GPS synchronization syncs all of them to transmit at the same time and to receive at the same time. This is the goal of GPS synchronization. So GPS synchronization helps to fight with the hidden nodes and eliminates the interference of AP to AP. But ATPC and front to back antenna isolation help the problem of collisions and interference in SM to AP. For example, a network like this. You have 2 back-to-back antennas. One SM for this one SM for that one. But the power of this SM is even that much high, more than our own intended access point. Also, the other access point in the backside can receive the signal. This is client to AP interference. While the access point is be able to control the power of this client, this access point finds that the power of this client is excessive, then it brings down the power to not have a kind of leakage by this one. So 2 features. First, controls the power of SM, and also cambium sector antennas have the best front to back ratio. The ratio between front, there's no leakage between them. It helps secondary self-interference. Uplink means client to SM. SM or client to AP. GPS synchronization mostly helpful in access point side. Also, this one is good for access point side, but it controls the power of the client. If you have the same feature, it means ATPC, and have a good antenna with a good front to back ratio, then you can have the frequency reuse. Back to back antennas using the same frequency. Another type of secondary self-interference, the power of your access point is too much. Even your power that receiving by your intended SM, it's already be able to receive with unwanted SM. If you have a good front to back ratio here between these two access points, the power of this one would not leak to the other SM. So with these three features, GPS synchronization, ATPC, and front to back ratio, we can control the problem of hidden nodes, collisions, leakage, access point to access point interference, client to access point interference, access point to client interference. These are all different types of self-interference. Another type more than self-interference means you are interfering with another competitor or neighbor. Now about the frequency reuse, it's very important about how you do clustering. By default, in the same access point, mostly we use two scenarios. 4 access points in the same tower. Then the antenna beam width is 90 degrees. When you have 4 access points in the same tower, means each 90 degrees, you can cover 360. The other strategy is using 6 antennas in the same tower. Means each antenna is 60 degrees. Because you know that lower beam width, higher gain, so even using 6 access points in the same tower instead of 4 access points, it means you can have more users with less CPU usage, and because antenna gain is more because of the beam width, it means your link budget is actually more. How you can use frequency in different access points? The first one is just a standard one, normal one without any GPS synchronization. If there is no GPS synchronization, in the same tower with 4 access points, you should have 4 frequencies. You cannot have the frequency reuse feature because there's no synchronization. But when you enable synchronization, but still these 2 are missing, means automatic transmit power control and have a good antenna with FB isolation, you still have to use 4 frequencies. But when you have enabled all of these 2 options and you're using the good antenna, then back-to-back antennas can use the same frequency. You have to do that especially in the most saturated places in very noisy environment, because spectrum is not that much available. You have to use frequency. If you are in zero noisy environment, the place without any other competitor, you can use 4 frequencies. But these are some techniques to help have a good wireless link, good transmission, good throughput, even in the noisy environment. These are the components of GPS synchronization. These are 6 very important tips or kind of must if you want to have a good clustering network. Clustering is very important. You cannot beat the ISP without clustering. You have to do clustering. Common synchronization source. We will talk about how you use a centralized GPS locator. Recommended sector antennas with proven front-to-back ratio performance. Cambium antennas have the best rates for FB ratio. Common download, upload, TDD duty cycle across all APs. This is also important. If in one pop site you are using like 50-50 for duty cycle, you have to use 50-50 all over. If you are using 75-25, all over. It should be all over. Common max cell distance across all APs. This is also an important option. in configuration, under configuration radio menu, you have the option called max cell distance. It means you can make the limitation for the max coverage. For example, if this is your AP and you set max coverage is like 5 kilometers, then if the user would be in the 6, cannot connect. Because you're going to have the common maximum cell. It's better to keep your cell smaller and add more pop sites because you have more radios, more CPU, you can connect more clients, and also when your cell is small, you can have much more better link budget per each client. And common control channel allocation. Automatic transmit power control also should be used. Means the feature that access point can control the power of client automatically to be able to not have a leakage to another access point. We talked about the retry process. Why we need to retry? If the frame fails to receive by the other side, or even your frame has been received by, but the acknowledgement not back, then we need to retransmit again. So retransmission happens when you have low quality. As much frame you send, you cannot receive back the either acknowledgement or you cannot make sure the frame received by the other side. About the network planning, just a kind of introduction. You know about the capacity planner and also about the link planner. We have done already this scenario. Also, I showed you something small, but it needs link planner. You have to download link planner. It's not that much difficult. It's so easy. You just need to give your GPS points to the application. It shows the Fresnel zone, how much is the distance, the thickness of Fresnel zone, line of sight, terrain of the earth, and shows how this link could be possible. It's very nice application. I'm using this even to plan another devices like Ubiquiti. Also, it has AirLink for itself, but it's not powerful like this. AirLink is just a simulator. It simulates only. But this one plans. You can, if you're using link planner for the Cambium equipment, you even can find the signal strength, the average signal strength you can have, the average throughput you can have, the percentage of traffic. It's very nice application. About the hardware installation, I just want to skip. It's not a big deal. It has only few important slides. One of them about the reflector, for example. How to install Force 200. Reflector is important. This is not correct. You see, when you have a reflector, they shouldn't be exactly in front of each other. There should be like 45 degrees to the ground, like this. Because these 2 points are aiming together, not the radio itself. So when you align like this, your signal would be somewhere else. This is the type of correct transmission, but this one goes somewhere else. Cabling, you know what is the cable, color code. You know about the cycling, power cycling. There's a strategy. If you 3 times turn off and turn on the PoE, automatically reset the device to default configuration. There are 3 ways. Using the button to reset the configuration, using the power cycling, the other one from the menu of itself, from the system setting.
Usually this is not suggested on the sites that they're using DC power.
Yes,
It's
Yes.
very not recommended.
Since you have the solar, if you're using the solar, it's not really recommended, yeah, because it may damage. It may damage the radio also. We don't know, may damage. Same as turning on the radio without antenna. May damage your wireless car, but in testing class we can do, especially in DC is important because it's direct and you're killing the current. Anyway, software upgrade, we have done also this lab, small lab. About the basic configuration, also we have done yesterday, just default configuration. I go through all of these menus one by one. Done. This is the first. Now the second.